Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, God, the most beneficent and most merciful. Treatment of a fault crossing below the foundation of a dam. This is the topic for my presentation. A Journalist Speaks is my YouTube channel. My name is Fiaz Nifsandhu. You are requested to subscribe my channel. Also, please provide the comments for its improvement and for encouragement. A major fault, main boundary thrust (MBT), locally called Murray thrust, was passing under a dam foundation in Pakistan. An innovative engineering solution was explored and implemented to reduce the risk of probable damage to the dam concrete structure during an earthquake movement along MBT lineament. I deliberately did not mention the name of the project because the client was having concerns that if work will be published, then there might be some negative impacts. But some of the foreigners who were working on the project, later they presented this work in some international conferences. I was the chief geologist of the project. All of this work was carried out and implemented under my supervision. Therefore, I thought that this unique, innovative engineering solution should be shared with the industry professionals. Whatever I have to speak, I have written on the screen for the better understanding of the listeners. A major fault, main boundary thrust (MBT), was passing under a dam foundation in Pakistan. Originally, the dam was designed as a concrete gravity dam, considering this fault as an inactive fault. Later, during construction, the dam was redesigned as a composite dam, that is concrete gravity dam and rockfill dam. The rockfill dam was designed to overlay the fault to accommodate probable slip along the fault lineament in case if an earthquake occurs. You can see this is rockfill dam and this is the concrete gravity dam with concrete structures. In another picture, this is another picture, prototype model of the dam. This is rockfill dam, this is concrete structure, this is debris channel, this is spillway, gated spillway, this is intake structure, and this is sedimentation basin. This picture is looking upstream. In this picture, prototype model of the dam looking downstream. This is rockfill dam, this is gated spillway, this is debris channel, this is intake structure, and this is sedimentation basin. After excavation for the dam foundation, it appeared that the fault lineament is not exactly below the rockfill dam. Some of its section was lying under the concrete gravity dam. In this picture, you see this is the center line of the dam axis. This is the fault. On this side, this is the sedimentary rocks of Murray Formation, comprising of shales and sandstone. On this side, these are the metamorphic rocks, and at this location, this is graphite schist. So you see that fault trace, fault lineament is lying, coming under the foundation of the concrete structure of the dam. So at this stage, it was not possible to change the dam location. Therefore, an innovative engineering solution was explored and implemented to reduce the risk of probable damage to the dam concrete structure during an earthquake movement along MBT. The MBT is a major active fault in the Himalayan region and is responsible for the uplift of the Himalayas. The extent of the MBT is approximately 2400 kilometers and it runs from the eastern border of India to the western border of Nepal. The MBT is also known to be segmented into several parts, each with its own characteristics and seismic hazard potentials. During design stage in 1994, this fault was declared as an inactive dormant fault in the dam project area. Now question arises why an active fault was considered as an inactive fault. The answer is long faults may not rupture over their full length during an earthquake but may do so in smaller sections depending on some physical boundaries in the fault that controls and defines the location and extent of the rupture. The MBT is also known to be segmented into several parts, each with its own characteristics and seismic hazard potentials. An earthquake of magnitude 7.6 occurred on 8th October 2005 in Pakistan. It was along the Muzaffarabad fault, which is a splay fault of MBT. The earthquake 2005 caused a big disaster in the surrounding areas of the dam. Deaths more than 87,000, injured more than 138,000, and displaced 3.5 million. The construction of the project was started in 2008 and the designers decided to reinvestigate fault behavior in the project area. The investigation program included detailed geological mapping and drilling of several core drill holes in the river valley and in the abutments on both sides of the river. It is difficult to establish if fault is active or not from drill hole data. Field geological observations and reconnaissance surveys could not prove any rupture along the fault at dam site during 2005 earthquake. But it cannot be ruled out the possibility for future movement on the fault on the MBT at the dam site because there were noticeable recent displacements on the structure elsewhere in the region. It was considered more appropriate to follow current best practices used in the neotectonics to correlate investigations elsewhere in the region and attempting to establish evidence of most recent movements and estimate slip rate. Therefore, by considering this fault as capable of displacement during the lifetime of the project, critical project features were redesigned accordingly. Following fault parameters were derived from the investigations NJC report 2010. Slip rate 2.5 to 5 millimeters per year. Maximum amount of in-place vertical movement due to a maximum rupture event is assumed to be about 3 meters. There is a slight possibility of some oblique slip. There is no evidence of co-seismic movement on this structure during the 2005 earthquake event which occurred on the Muzaffarabad fault. Different design options were considered to reduce the risk of damage to the dam structure in case if an earthquake occurs. Number 1. Repositioning of the dam to another section of the river. This option was dropped because design and land acquisition had been settled, so a serious delay was not acceptable at this stage by changing dam location. Second option was to provide a slip joint in the concrete dam to accommodate movement in the foundation. This option was dropped due to the following reasons. An unverified slip joint might fail due to uncertainty in rupture location at foundation, unpredictable magnitude and direction of movement, requirement of more wider river section to accommodate a longer dam. The third option was composite dam, a combination of a rockfill dam with clay core covering the fault zone on the right side and a concrete dam with a gated spillway and other appurtenant structures on left side. This design was agreed following the same concept adopted on some other dams in the world where active faults lie beneath the dams. As I have shown earlier, rockfill dam, composite dam, a rockfill dam with a concrete structure dam. Rockfill dam with a clay core with fine and coarse filters, and these are the random fills with one row of grout curtain at the foundation of the dam. The next step was to map the fault and mark on the drawings to redesign the dam components with respect to the fault location. The fault was mapped. Fault was exposed at two locations in the vicinity of the dam project area. Number 1 kilometer downstream of the dam axis at right bank of the river. So this is location 1 kilometer downstream from the dam axis. This is the fault contact. This below is the Murray formation of sedimentary rocks comprising of sandstone and shales. It is in contact with metamorphic rocks of Panjal formation comprising of greenstone, metabasalt, metacarbonates, quartzite and graphite schist. At other location, about 500 meter upstream of the dam axis, the fault crossed the river and appeared on the left bank of the river. So the fault was exposed at two locations, as one I have shown earlier, about toward this side 1 kilometer below the dam axis, downstream from the dam axis. This is approximate the location of the dam axis, and at other location then this fault crossed the river and shifted to the left bank of the river and traveled along a left bank tributary of the river. At dam site, it was not exposed and it was buried under the river alluvium. So this is the dam site location. Here on the left side, left bank of the river, sedimentary rocks, and on the right bank of the river, metamorphic rocks of Panjal formation. Here the fault is not exposed, it is buried under the alluvium. These were 3 investigation holes. These holes were not drilled for the fault location. These were drilled to explore for the sound rock to place the dam foundation. In all of these 3 holes, these were drilled through the Murray formation. So the fault location was towards the right side of these holes locations. To trace fault lineament at dam axis, 2 inclined investigation core holes were drilled on both sides of the river bank to intercept the fault contact at the dam axis. The holes were drilled at an angle of 60 degrees with the vertical. In this picture you see these are 2 drilling machines working on both river banks, but this drilling was for some other purpose. Dam axis was located somewhere here, so 2 holes, one on this side and one on this side. These were angle holes, 60 degree with the vertical. These were drilled to explore the contact of the fault, to trace the fault lineament. The inclined hole on right river bank crossed the fault contact, but there was no core recovery in the fault zone in about 39 meters length. The inclined hole at left river bank did not cross the fault contact. It remained in sedimentary rocks of Murray formation. It was difficult to mark the fault contact at its exact location because core was washed out in 39 meters length in the fault zone. The fault contact at the dam axis was marked with best judgment and assumption. Unexpectedly, during excavation for the dam, the fault lineament did not appear entirely beneath the rockfill dam, and some of the some of the concrete structure would overlie the fault lineament. As I have shown earlier, this picture, this is sedimentary rocks. These are sedimentary rocks with shales and sandstone. This is metamorphic rock. Here at this location it is graphite schist, and the fault lineament is lying below the concrete structure of the dam. This line is the dam axis. In this picture you see that this is the trace of the fault. Here downstream side, fault is away from the concrete structure, and here at this location it took a offset and shifted its location towards the concrete structure, and this is below the concrete structures. And then at upstream side again it took a offset and moved away from the concrete structure. Now the new objective was explore and implement some engineering solution to reduce the risk of probable damage to the concrete structure during an earthquake movement along Amity fault lineament, and second, to direct fault movement into the Rockfield Dam section and divert it away from the concrete structure. Following options were considered. Number 1, construction of a relief plane to provide a preferred plane of slip, such as rows of bentonite filled holes. I shall explain you the concept from this picture. This is the section of the fault during excavation. So this is the fault contact. This is the sedimentary rocks of Murray Formation. These are the metamorphic rocks of Punjal Formation. So it was planned, or it was suggested, that a series of boreholes to be drilled crossing the fault contact. See here, this is the fault contact, this is the concrete structure, this is the Rockfield Dam. So, and this is a borehole crossing through the fault contact. If in case of an earthquake, the earthquake waves, if those are traveling along the fault contact, then at this location they will find a weak plane. The waves, earthquake waves, will be shifted towards the Rockfield Dam. Second option was considered: deeper excavation on the hanging wall side and backfill with low shear strength material. Third option was deeper excavation on the footwall side and replacement with the concrete. And fourth, a combination of the above two. I shall explain from this picture. This is the hanging wall of the dam, of the fault, and this is the footwall of the fault. So one option was that to excavate more deeper on this side and fill it with low shear material, so that these earthquake waves may be transferred towards the low shear material. And the other option was to excavate more deeper on this side and fill it with the concrete, so that the earthquake waves, due to concrete structure, heavy concrete, they be diverted towards this Rockfield Dam side. And the fourth option was that apply both the options, that here to excavate deeper and to fill with the shear material, and here to excavate deeper and to fill with the concrete. The first option was considered workable: construction of a relief plane to provide a preferred plane of slip, such as rows of bentonite filled holes. Montgomery Watson Harza, MWH, lead partner of the joint venture, carried out a model study to verify the applicability of the concept. Based on the results from the finite element analysis carried out in the Chicago office of Montgomery Watson Harza, MWH, following conclusions were drawn. The reference is from the 7th International Conference on Case Histories in Geotechnical Engineering, Peter Dixon and others, in 2000. 13, they presented this work in the conference. The analysis showed that the mitigation measures proposed are potentially effective. Preliminary analysis established that total displacement on the dam and foundation could be reduced up to 80%. The potential benefits of the proposed foundation treatment will be likely to increase if additional strengthening measures are incorporated into the concrete structure, such as construction joints between concrete monoliths, additional reinforcement, or stiffer concrete sections at the foundation level. MWH provided these recommendations based on the model studies. Drilling pre-split holes is between upstream 40 meter to downstream 70 meter from the dam axis. Total 110 number of pre-split holes will be drilled. So in this picture, 40 meters upstream and 70 meter downstream in the rockfill section of the dam, pre-split holes will be drilled. Pre-split holes will be drilled in two rows 0.5 meter apart and at a minimum distance of 3 meters from the end of the structure. Center to center hole distance will be 0.5 meter and staggered in both rows. In this picture you see these will be two rows of the holes 0.5 meter apart and center to center hole distance will be 0.5 meters. This is end of the concrete structure. This is concrete side of the dam and this is rockfill side of the dam, rockfill dam. This is end of the structure. From 3 meters, at a distance of 3 meters from the end of the structures, these vertical holes will be drilled, and as the fault is at an angle, and these holes will intersect the fault plane. As this fault you can see is at an angle, so a vertical hole drilled through below the rockfill dam, it will intersect fault contact, and in this way the earthquake waves will be diverted towards the rockfill dam. Depth of holes will be minimum 3 meters beyond the fault contact into the Murray formation. As the fault contact was at an angle, therefore one row of the holes hit the fault contact at 18 meter depth and the other at 19 meter depth. In this section you can see this is the fault, this is at an angle, this side is the rockfill dam, this is graphite schist, and this is the Murray formation, shales and sandstone. These are the two rows of the holes. So one row, I have shown this in the section, one row, first row will intersect at 18 meter depth to the fault contact, and the other row will intersect the fault at 90 meter depth. So after drilling and filling with bentonite, these holes will be filled with bentonite to create a weak plane to divert seismic waves. The holes will be capped from the top. During construction, following observations were made. Air percussion drilling caused opening of discontinuities. Water and fault gauge material was noted emitting out at locations more than 50 meters away. Backfilled bentonite washed out from the completed holes, likely due to direct interconnection or communication between the holes. So holes were very close to each other, so these are interconnected, and during drilling the completed holes, the bentonite was washed out from the completed holes, and due to the poor rock conditions, at one place, if drilling with air percussion drilling machine is carried out, air was and gauge material was seen to be emitting about more than 50 meters away from the rock. A preferred seepage path can be developed along the rows of bentonite filled holes, and the foundation will always be subject to foundation seepage. So two rows of bentonite filled holes were drilled, starting from the upstream of the side of the dam and ending towards the downstream of the side of the dam. And bentonite was washed out, so there was a fear that this will be a seepage path, and a new seepage path can be developed below the dam foundation. So you see, at this foundation level, if two rows are drilled starting from upstream of the dam axis ending towards the downstream side of the dam axis from the dam, definitely this will be a weak zone and a seepage path can be developed. Following modifications in the methodology were made to reduce the potential for damaging the foundation. Implement reverse rotary circulation drilling with bentonite as a drilling fluid to control the hole enlargement and to control washing out of soft gauge material. Second, increase the spacing between the drill holes to 1 meter from the original planned 0.5 meter. Number 3, adding 2 more curtain grout rows. Now will be 3 curtain grouting rows instead of 1. So before there was 1 row of curtain grouting below the foundation of the dam, Rockfield Dam. Then 2 more rows of grout curtain were added. So now there was triple row curtain grouting treatment below the dam foundation, Rockfield Dam foundation. This work was completed successfully. In this graph picture, you can see that these are the piezometer levels at upstream and downstream of the dam. This is the reservoir level, and this blue line is showing the water level fluctuations in the piezometers located at the upstream of the dam, and these are the piezometers at the downstream side of the dam. So you can see that there is a head difference in upstream and downstream piezometers. This head difference is about 7 to 8 meters. So it shows that the bentonite filled holes were working properly and there was no seepage path was developed along this weak zone. Thank you.